The Prince 2 Practitioner Course, Module 2, The Business Case Theme, Lesson 1, The Business Case, Part 1. Welcome to this first lesson on the business case theme. In this lesson, we'll look at some key terms, project roles in the business case, and the benefits review plan. You may wish to make notes in Chapter 4 of your Prince 2 manual, the business case theme, which starts on page 21, as we go through the remainder of the lesson. The business case documents the information used to judge whether the project is and remains viable. It is maintained throughout the life of the project. It summarizes information from the project plan, time and cost to deliver, from the risk register, the aggregated risk position, and from the mandate and subsequent discussions with users to define the benefits. If you think about it, you'll see that as the project proceeds, the forecast timescales may change, costs may change, risks may change, and so on. These changes must be reflected in the business case. It may be that changes to costs, for example, during the project mean that the business justification no longer stacks up. That needs to be spotted and acted upon. Before we get too deeply into the development and content of the business case, let's remind ourselves of some definitions. A project output is defined as any of the project's specialist products. It is the result of some planned activity, in our case a project. Project outputs are the things that we will hand over to the user or customer at the end of the project. The outcome is achieved when the outputs are in and working. This means that all process changes have been made, all relevant staff have received training, and sufficient time has passed for everyone to go through the learning curve. The new system is now normal, default business as usual. Depending on what your project has delivered, there is sometimes quite a gap between putting something live and achieving the outcome. Sometimes it is quick and easy, and hardly any time is needed. Benefits are defined as the measurable improvements as a result of the outcome. Benefits may be measured in money, such as an increase in profit or a decrease in cost, or they may be measured by measuring something non-financial, such as a reduction in waiting times to receive a service of some sort. In a Prince 2 project, the benefits will almost always happen. The term used in the Prince 2 manual is be realized, sometime after the project is closed. However, we need to know what benefits are expected so that we can deliver fit-for-purpose outputs. A disbenefit is the opposite of a benefit. If a benefit is defined as a measurable improvement that is seen as an advantage by one or more stakeholders, then a disbenefit is an outcome that is perceived as negative by one or more stakeholders. Remember, a disbenefit is going to happen. If the project delivers as expected, the disbenefit is inevitable. It is an inevitable consequence of what the project is doing or delivering. There is no uncertainty. Remember that increases in project costs are not disbenefits. Should this happen, it is a problem that we have to deal with. The diagram on the screen is taken straight from your Prince 2 manual and shows the development path of the business case. Let's see how this builds up. What this screen shows is that we start thinking about the business case right from the very beginning, as soon as we've got a project mandate. The outline business case is one of the sections of the project brief, which is created in the starting up a project process. We'll look at that in Module 9. The executive on the project board is responsible for creating the outline business case, and the project manager will incorporate it into the project brief. The project board will use this information when making the decision whether or not to initiate the project. During the initiating a project process, the project manager will manage the activities to pull together the information to create the first complete version of the business case. At the end of the initiation stage, the project board will use this information, along with the rest of the information contained in the project initiation documentation, to decide whether or not to move into the delivery stages. At the end of each project delivery stage, as an absolute minimum, we would expect to have a new version of the business case. It would be created by the project manager as part of the managing a stage boundary process to reflect where we are at the current point in the project. Once again, this information is used by the project board to decide whether or not to continue with the work as planned. You may be wondering about the arrows along the top of the diagram, labeled Confirm Benefits, given that we said earlier that benefits are almost always not seen until some time after the project is closed. Well, the key word here is almost. It is possible, although it is relatively rare, for a project to have some sort of phased delivery. If this is the case, it is possible that some benefits may be seen before the project closes. In these circumstances, at the end of the delivery stages, the project board will want to assess whether the benefits expected to date are actually happening, and this is what the diagram is referring to. After the end of the project, corporate and program management take responsibility for implementation. It is assumed that at an appropriate time, they will have one or more post-project reviews to see whether the benefits actually did turn up and whether the project outputs are performed as expected now that they are in operational use. As part of our project close process, we will leave them with some instructions in the business review plan about what needs to be done, measured, counted to be able to prove whether or not the benefits actually happened, and we will give them advice about when, in time, it is appropriate for these reviews to take place. The project manager will have been keeping the benefits review plan up to date and in step with the business case as changes have been needed during the project. When the project board authorizes project closure at the end of the project, this should be approved by the executive and by corporate or program management and handed over to the relevant business units. The content of the business case is covered in the next lesson. If your project is part of a program, then your project business case will be part of and contribute to the program business case. And your benefits may not be tangible, visible to the business, sort of benefits. They might be measured as the contribution you are making to the program objectives. And the program will be responsible for making sure that the benefits are realized. The benefits review plan is created by the project manager at the same time as the business case in initiating a project. Each time the business case is updated, the project manager should check to see whether the benefits review plan also needs to be updated to keep it in step with the business case if our estimate of the expected benefits changes. At the end of the project, we will hand this over to the relevant business area, probably as represented by the senior user on the project board, or if our project is part of a program, we will hand it to the program management team. Effectively, it is the instructions to corporate or program management about what needs to be done to check whether or not the benefits actually happened as expected. It is not part of the project initiation documentation, as it is not part of the contract for the project manager to run and manage the project. It defines work that will be carried out after the project is closed. The benefits review plan includes information on what benefits are covered within the scope of the document. That is to say, the benefits that can be attributed to our project. It states how to measure the benefits, what resources are needed to carry out this work, and when it is sensible and appropriate to do so. So, if we were hoping for an increase in profit within 6 months of implementation, then 6 months after implementation would be a sensible point to plan for a post-project review to check. The benefits review plan also states the start point, the baseline, from which the measurement will be calculated. It is no good trying to measure whether you achieve the desired improvement if you do not know what figure you are starting from. The benefits review plan states who is accountable for the expected benefit. Typically, this will be the head of the department where the benefits are expected to be seen, and this person will more often than not take a senior user role on our project board. And if we are going to hold a post-project review, it makes sense to assess how well the delivered products are performing in operational use. So the benefits review plan covers this assessment process as well. Okay, that completes this first lesson on the business case theme. You learned about outputs, benefits and disbenefits, roles and the business case, and the benefits review plan. The second lesson on the business case is next. In that lesson, you'll learn about the contents of a business case. Move on when you're ready.